Hi, it's Michelle, and today I wanted to answer the question, what happens when you build a system and then your user engagement and your system uptake is not what you prefer and what you thought it would be, what you calculated, what you know it's possible being? What do you do? So for those of you who don't know me, I'm a change management consultant with over 30 years experience, and I absolutely love getting in the weeds and figuring out, I call it solving for X, but figuring out like why is something not working, what's going on. So today I want to talk about how did we get here in terms of not having the system engagement that we thought, and then what can we do about it? How do we, achieve a higher end user engagement and acceptance? So when we first implement a system, a lot of times there's two things that happen. One, either we had to get it in a certain amount of time because it was mandated by the government, by somebody decided you have to get this system in and it has to be in a certain amount of time. And so we do the best we can with the time we are allotted. And a lot of times when that happens, our end user engagement isn't as much as we would prefer, simply because we didn't have as much time as we would have liked to drill down and really talk to our users. However, I'm going to give you some good news. Even if you had a little bit more time, you may still have ended up in the same place you are now, because it is so much easier for somebody, especially someone who's not in the systems world, because everybody thinks differently. That's why we all are so good at our jobs, is that we all have different ways of looking at the world. So people who are not programmers, engineers, people who do systems daily, they might not understand what it is they even needed or required, and therefore couldn't give you the feedback that would have been helpful. And the good news is that now that you have a system and they have something that they can that you can understand, like they're in it, they're using it, or they're not using it, and you can ask them a little more questions, right? So let me just go back just for a sec and say, okay, instead of using systems, in case that's like, sometimes people have charge over that, let me try a different way of explaining this. When I first bought my first house, it was a model, it was in a tract home, and they didn't even have the models yet. And so we bought it just based on the blueprints, right? So we based on the blueprints, and I was able to say, well, I want this color grout, I want this kind of carpet, that kind of thing. But in terms of like the other details, like I don't know, because I just looked at the blueprints, right? That's all I had. So we get the house, it's great. However, in the kitchen, there was a bay window, which I was super excited about. It's supposed to have herbs for your herb garden there, right? Well, the problem was that I couldn't clean it because they hadn't used a countertop material. They had just used the same material as the wall. So the first time I put a plant there and it got overwatered, it was a mess, and I couldn't keep it clean. So I ended up putting fake plants there. Our friends come over, they love the house. They ended up buying the exact same house in the next phase. However, they had heard about my issues with this window, and so when they went to sign, they said, hey, even though it wasn't an upgrade, they were like, this is something we want. Can you put the countertop material there? Now the thing is, it would never have even occurred to me to do that because I didn't have the background. And even if I had thought, oh, the counter would make sense, I would have thought, oh, maybe there's a reason they didn't do that. Like maybe there's a weight issue or whatever. So I would not have asked. Why? Because it's not my wheelhouse, right? But my friends who were, one of them was an architect and the other was in construction, they knew. And so they asked, and so they fixed that problem. And so in a way, they had enhanced user engagement because they were finally able to use that herb garden window as an herb garden. So when you're able to have someone come in and talk to your end users and ask them, how are you using the system? Find out, how are they using the system? Or if they're not using the system for certain things that we know the tasks they should be using for, then we find out why. And sometimes it may be they don't know they're there. Sometimes it may be like my kitchen window. I tried it, but I had this issue and I don't know how to resolve it, so I'm just working around it, right? And so when you are able to have those types of dialogues, you're going to increase your user engagement, and you're going to obviously then have better system uptake. So if you want to increase your end user experience and are looking for some help, go ahead and give me a call or DM me or click a link below. I'd love to work with you and your team. I'll talk to you later. Bye.